I sincerely welcome all of the assembled Vaishnavas to our yearly Pune Yatra. This year, something very special. The brahmacharis of Sri Radha Gopinath Temple have been coming here for several weeks to help organize more developed devotional service toward the Vaishnavas. You will notice that they created a new kitchen on the rooftop of the garage. They have forklift and a conveyor elevator that they built to bring up and down the Lord's prasad. And the pandal is 1/3 the size larger. Much hard work, tremendous amount of energy, where the grihastas and the brahmacharis are united to serve the devotees. And I think that the efforts in preparing for the Yatra this year, which are more than ever before, set the mood for this year's Pune Yatra. How the best way to please the spiritual masters, the Panchatattva, and Sri Radha and Krishna is to be united in the service of the Vaishnavas. There was nothing that disturbed Srila Prabhupada's mind more than when he saw the devotees quarreling or just not cooperating together. When he saw material envy or complacency between the Vaishnavas. And what brought Srila Prabhupada the greatest happiness is when he took note of how devotees had loving relationships with each other. Great unity, where they were inspiring one another to hear about Krishna, to chant the holy names of Krishna, to serve the Vaishnavas, and to preach the glories of the holy name to others. Our spiritual life is simply dependent on how we please Krishna, Guru, and the Vaishnavas. It is really the only consideration that is relevant to our Krishna consciousness. If devotees offend one another in order to do something wonderful for the spiritual master, whatever they are doing, they are undoing in the process. Srila Prabhupada explained there is Shreyas and Prayas. Prayas, an immediate result. Shreyas is when we have a vision into the future, and we coordinate our lives accordingly. Unless there are proper devotional relationships amongst Vaishnavas, proper behavior amongst Vaishnavas, to work in cooperation in the service of Guru and Gauranga, then whatever we achieve will soon fall. And we have seen it historically as well as in present times. Projects can be built, big results can be achieved, but if they are not built on a strong foundation, eventually it all collapses. It has to collapse. Any architect or engineer knows foundation is essential. But you don't see the foundation. How many of you go to a beautiful temple or a wonderful building or somebody's home and say, "What a wonderful foundation you have"? I don't think anybody but an architect or an engineer has ever said such a thing in world history. Yes? When a building falls, you say what a bad foundation it has. But when it stands, you don't notice, you don't talk about, you don't even think about the foundation. But what cannot be seen sustains and maintains what we see. The foundation of the Krishna consciousness movement is very much how devotees are associating with one another for the purpose of inspiring and enlivening faith in each other, in chanting the holy names, hearing about Krishna, remembering Krishna, and performing service to Krishna. It is the basis. Therefore, Krishna tells in Gita, there is no one more dear to me than one who repeats his message to the devotees. Because when the association of devotees is strong, then it will have a powerful effect of attracting, like an irresistible magnet, the conditioned souls. Because Krishna is irresistibly attractive. And where devotees are sharing Krishna together in love and trust, Krishna is most manifest there. And that will attract the hearts of the conditioned souls. Many of our centers in Maharashtra, we had our December book distribution marathon this year. And together, our devotees gave out more of Srila Prabhupada's books than we ever did in our own history. Of course, other temples do more than us, but that's very healthy for us. Our enthusiasm should not simply to be the best, but our enthusiasm is to please Guru and Krishna. And how the congregation and how the sadhus and the ashram work together, the congregation amongst themselves working together, the devotees in the ashram working together, devotees in the ashram with the congregation working together. It lifted everyone's spirits, enthusiasm, and devotion. And through the process, there was such empowerment. Similarly, in our annual drama festival, the devotees in these dramas, they practice, I think, for several months sometimes. Except for Govinda Prabhu's group, they practice a few days. But he has a special Shakti to empower them all. They, for months, weeks. And it's really amazing. Giving so much time, so much energy, making so many arrangements for one performance. This year, 2, except Govinda Prabhu's. They hid for the second one. Now, the most important thing about the drama festival is not the performance. That's just a byproduct of what we're really trying to achieve. Krishna tells us we should be attached to our service. We should not be attached to the results of our service. The service for the drama participants is to perform the best possible performance for the pleasure of the Vaishnavas, the spiritual masters, and Krishna. It's simply Vaishnav Seva. Yes? There's not even anybody else coming except Vaishnavas. And the Vaishnavas mostly all know the stories anyway. To give them pleasure. That's all. And how so much energy, so much attention, writing scripts, rewriting scripts, changing their minds and writing a whole new script, and then another script, and then finding the characters, and then performing, and getting the costumes, and getting the props, and everything else, all to serve the Vaishnavas. And the devotees who are opening their homes and giving prasad, it creates spiritual relationships. Otherwise, most of these people, they would perform their work and meet casually on Sunday and say Hari Bol. But here they're really having deep relationships, and the relationship is based on serving Vaishnavas. It's dynamic. It's a purifying experience. But what's most important is it builds and fortifies the foundation of our efforts to serve and please Krishna. Yes, it is so wonderful. If we read the lives of the great saints, who are the descendants of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's parampara, we will find that Vaishnav Seva, service to the Vaishnavas, is topmost. Otherwise, how will we chant the holy names in such a way that Krishna will be pleased? Bhakti Vinod Thakur he described the three essential principles of real religion. Service to the Vaishnavas, compassion to the fallen souls, and chanting of the holy names. This is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's essential message. Everything is focused toward fulfilling these three purposes. And Vaishnav Seva, it is very deep. It is the most profound subject matter because it's the eternal activity of the spiritual world. Serving Krishna and serving his devotees. It is said about Narottam Das Thakur at his Kheturi festival, he installed 6 sets of deities. And how he worshiped those deities, how he arranged elaborate offerings, artis, dressing, bathing, darshans. But he was even more enthusiastic to train his disciples and to personally himself serve the Vaishnavas. Because the devotees, their pleasure is the actual means by which Krishna will the deity will be pleased with us. Seeing so many devotees really, really using their intelligence, their effort, their skills, everything to make this Pune Yatra festival wonderful, to serve the Vaishnavas, is so fulfilling to our hearts. All of you, please, not all at once though, see the arrangements they made for this kitchen. Take a ride on the elevator. Registered, there are 3,200 devotees coming this year. And how Krishna Chandra Prabhu, Radha Priya Devi and the family working together with brahmacharis made such an amazing kitchen. I was up there today. It's a more efficient kitchen than practically any temple I've ever seen. What to speak of these restaurants? It's unbelievable how it's engineered. Electrical outlets for cooking for thousands and thousands of people, 3 times a day. And they made this huge elevator for the pots. And they got a whole forklift for bringing up and down more pots. They worked for weeks and weeks and weeks. They invested a lot of money, a lot of energy. In fact, the kitchen and the elevator was engineered by IIT engineers. Amazing. I'm developing great appreciation for IIT, actually. Their engineering education is fructifying through the highest possible activity, service to the Vaishnavas. It's wonderful to see. But what's most wonderful is all that effort is for 3.5 days. How many of you would spend weeks and weeks of many, many manpower hours, a lot of money, to make a kitchen for 3 days? And then the rest of the time, the rest of the year, there's nobody here. It's idle. The most the family comes. Now, a materialist person would say this is illogical, doesn't make sense. Why wasting so much time, so much money for 3 days? But from a spiritual perspective, it makes the most sense. When you water the tree, the root of the tree, the whole tree flourishes. When you serve the Vaishnavas, Krishna's pleased. When Krishna's pleased, our life is perfect. Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna spoke the whole Bhagavad Gita in less than an hour. Yes? But what did that less than an hour do to the world for all time to come? Krishna sees our sincerity. We should learn from this. Matchita madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam katyantash chamam nityam tushyanti charamanti cha. Krishna tells us in Sri Bhagavad Gita how devotees' relationship, enlivening one another, inspiring one another, by helping each other to become more attached to hearing and chanting about Him. When I went up to the kitchen today and I talked to some of the leading devotees who really, really worked hard in planning and organizing, working very hard too. Hundreds of devotees, cutting and stirring, very, very big business people and PhDs. They're just taking peas out of pods. Amazing. Usually they're counting money. Here they're taking peas out of pods. It's a wonderful sight. I was praising them. All this effort just to try to serve the devotees the best possible prasad as efficiently as possible. In somebody's house. It's not an ordinary thing to come to somebody's house and feed 3,200 people prasad several times a day. When I saw all the arrangements, I was praising them. And one of the brahmacharis said to me, the whole purpose of this is just so that devotees could be happy to sit and listen to Krishna Katha and chant the holy names. That's all. To facilitate a very happy spiritual atmosphere for the devotees to enjoy each other's association while hearing the message of Krishna and chanting His holy name. When this attention is given to developing Vaishnava relationships with a spirit of servitude, then any project is infallible. forever, as long as we have this consciousness. Krishna will protect, Krishna will empower. That is his promise. Many obstacles will certainly come on the spiritual path. But if we have faith in the Vaishnavas and faith in the holy name, Krishna will help us to overcome all obstacles. But without the Vaishnavas, it is very, very difficult, almost impossible, for us to maintain our Krishna consciousness, maintain our enthusiasm to chant the holy name when traumas, crises, and obstacles come in our life. I was just thinking, Lord Chaitanya has taught us Trinadapi Sunichena Tador Iba Sahishnana Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. That if we really want to taste the nectar of the holy name, we must learn to be humble like a blade of grass, tolerant like a tree. Tolerance and humility are interrelated. In a spiritual sense, they cannot be separated. To offer all respect to others and expect none in return. We have to be very humble to do that. Queen Kunti prays, Vipada Shantu Tashashva Tatra Tatra Jagadguru. She's praying for calamities because she's fearful that if everything is going in a pleasant way or according to our expectations, the tendency is to forget you, Krishna. Or even if I remember you, it's with complacency. But when there's serious calamity, when there's danger, either impending danger or active danger, then if we have some sincerity, we will cry out for Krishna. We all have this experience. When things are just coasting along nicely, we chant our rounds, we dance in kirtan. But when there's really some serious danger in our life, or a major crisis that has come upon us, then we understand the urgency, the necessity that only Krishna could save us. Now let us put these two ideas together. Trinadapi Sunichena et Vipada Shantu Tashashva. And see how they are so much one and the same. When great obstacles come upon us, we're talking about the kind of obstacles that are beyond our control. When Kunti Devi was praying, the calamities that came upon her were completely out of her control. There was nothing she could do about it, except just cry out Krishna's name and pray for Krishna's mercy. Yes? We become proud until we're put in a situation when calamities humble us. That's how, in a calamitous situation, we cry out from Krishna with our hearts, because we're humbled by the situation. We know absolutely that I need help. I'm completely dependent on higher powers. I can't do it on my own. Until you come to that state, you can't, with great feeling, raise your arms and cry out the name of God. As long as it's under our control, I can fix it, no problem. Hare Krishna. But when we realize how it's spinning out of control, it's beyond me. There's nothing else I can do. I have to work my hardest, I have to try my best, but I know the only way I could be saved is Krishna's mercy. Do you see the connection? Real calamities humble us. They make us fully aware that there is a necessity, there is an urgent need to cry out for Krishna's help. Now, sometimes devotees ask the question, does that mean we have to be put in emergency crisis calamities in order to chant the holy name sincerely? No, not if you're humble. If you're humble, you're already in that condition, without calamities coming. The calamities are meant to humble us. Because it is only in that humble state of mind that we could call out Krishna's name from our heart. We often use example of Draupadi. She was a great queen. How many of you ladies would be a little proud if you had for your husband Yudhisthira, Bhima, Arjun, Nakula, and Sahadev? And all of them would do anything and everything for you. And all of them were completely attached to pleasing you. Would you be a little proud? Today, women are proud if their husband could pay the rent. Or take them on a vacation to New York. But when Dushasana pulled off her sari, and she saw none of her 5 husbands were going to help her, and even Bhishma, grandfather, was not going to help her, and she had no strength herself to help, when she was in a totally helpless condition, she was totally humble. She was completely humble. She knew that only Krishna could save me. I'm completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. Then she raised her arms and she cried out the holy names. And Krishna was there to save her. In the same way, if we chant the holy names in a really humble state of mind, Krishna will manifest himself fully in his holy name. The chanting of the holy names, whether it is japa or kirtan, it should be pronounced correctly with the lips and the tongue. It should be concentrated upon very carefully by the mind. But the name should come not for the lips. When we chant from our heart with feeling, and we pronounce it with our lips and our mind and our tongue, and it enters into our ears, and we concentrate on our mind, then we become absorbed in Krishna, and Krishna is there. But in order for it to come from the heart, there must be this sincere humility. Prabhupada says we should chant like a baby cries for its mother. Now, there are different types of crying. Because I've given many Srimad Bhagavatam classes, I've witnessed many different types of crying of babies. And the amazing thing is when babies cry, even I cry out to Krishna, save me. Sometimes the baby just wants attention. They're fine. But they just don't like when the mother and everybody's looking at other things other than them. Yes? What about me? So they know it works. Everyone's, just doing their duties or talking, whatever, and the baby wants attention. So it starts crying and immediately attention is there. But that's not the type of crying that Prabhupada is speaking about. Prabhupada is speaking about when that baby is feeling serious danger. When that baby is feeling serious need. It's in a helpless state. It needs food. It has to have food. The stomach, the whole system is crying out for food, and there's no way it can even express itself. Or when there's some impediment, danger that the baby feels is going to threaten its life, and it's absolutely helpless. It can't do anything except cry for its mother. That's a totally humble state. I'm helpless. I'm hopeless. I need help. I can't do it myself. I'm nothing. My mother is everything. That is the baby's consciousness when it sincerely cries for the mother. And that is the way we must cry for Krishna. That is humility. When we chant in that spirit, then our chanting comes from the heart. And it is that type of chanting, when we hear the holy name, that is coming from our hearts, when it's chanted with feeling and sincerity, that will awaken love, prema bhakti. Service attitude is based on humility. A real service attitude means, I am your servant. It doesn't just mean that I serve, but it's the attitude in which we serve. We often quote Srila Prabhupada, Krishna doesn't see the thing that you offer. He sees the purpose in which it is offered. The greatest personalities consider themselves genuinely to be the servant of everyone. I was just reading in one of our Vaishnava literatures. It's explained that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates and his descendants, some are Nitya Siddhas and some are Sadhana Siddhas. A Nitya Siddha is one who has descended from the spiritual world to participate in the Lord's pastimes on this earth planet. A sadhana siddha is a conditioned soul who becomes perfect through the process of sadhana. Hearing and chanting, the 9 processes of devotional service. But it is explained that it's very, very difficult to understand the difference. Because the Nitya Siddhas generally will practice sadhana very, very strictly. They don't think that they're Nitya Siddhas. They don't present themselves as Nitya Siddhas. But one thing that they all have in common, the sadhana siddhas and the Nitya Siddhas, is their humble service attitude, their complete dependence on the Lord. Why? They come to this earth simply to show us the way. There is no other way in the age of Kali to attain pure devotional service other than the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. Golokera Premadana Harinam Sankirtan. The holy name has descended from Goloka to bring us back home to Goloka. But how important it is for us to understand how to chant the holy names. That is the all in all, the everything in Krishna consciousness. How to chant the holy names in a way that Krishna will deliver us. As we're chanting our japa, we should listen so carefully to the pronunciation of the names. We should hear. Prabhupada says the mouth creates the sound, the ears, the mind through the ears is intently absorbed. Japa is about absorption in the holy name. Intense absorption. And kirtan is about intense absorption. Bhajan, intense absorption in the holy name. And all of our activities in Krishna consciousness, if they are performed properly, creates the humble service attitude by which that sound vibration is coming from the core of our hearts. Param dristva nivartate. The only way we could substantially and sustainably overcome the temptations of Maya is to develop a higher taste, especially the taste for chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Pune Yatra is like a family reunion, devotees coming together from all different places. Tomorrow we will get the statistics from Krishna Chandra Prabhu, from which places so many devotees have come. He told me something like from 40 different cities devotees have gathered, from various parts of the world. We come together simply for this purpose.